Hello, welcome back to Tea and Toast. I'm joined with Bianca again.
Good morning.
I hope you all had a great weekend.
I'm with Sophia in the yard. I've got Kathy in the yard, and Laurel's in the background doing some sewing.
So what's happening at the yard today?
Well, this morning we've got Make Do and Mend. So at the moment, let me see if I can show you a tiny bit from here. We've got the banner. So I don't know whether you all remember, but in the lockdown last year, we got people to sew a lockdown message saying like how they felt, how it was experiencing for them. And we've been putting it all together. And as luck would have it, the lovely Kathy who runs Sew Something, she has moved from her shop down the Welly Road to the yard. So she's now a permanent fixture here, which is great for us because, quite frankly, Sophia and I we need more than help. We need a miracle sometimes. And Kathy is our miracle, helping us get this banner together so that it can be on display here and also at the museum at some point later in the year. So we're doing that this morning. It's looking pretty cool.
Yeah, and well done to all the people that took part in making that a reality and made squares.
Yeah, we had about 100 people back in the end, so it was really fantastic. And we're going to be doing a quilting project in the future. So I'm looking over with all these kind of proper photocopy eyes, see if I can remember everything that's been done for the future.
And is there anything else happening today? Later today?
So, yeah, today is story time. So we've got two lots of story time. So this afternoon at the yard, 3 o'clock, we are going to be sharing some of Roald Dahl's classic. So if you've got any little people and you want to come and have a snack and a story, then come and join me at story time. For all of you bigger people, we're going to continue reading Six Crows, and that will be at 7 o'clock, but that's online. So you've got double the stories today, double the fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. I love Roald Dahl, so I'm really looking forward to reading those books. Those Six Crows,
I think I read them as a kid.
Have you got a favourite Roald Dahl book?
I don't know. James and the Giant Peach or something? Is that Roald Dahl?
Yeah, that's Roald Dahl. I like the Twits.
Yeah. The BFG, is that Roald Dahl as well?
Yeah, with his great big ears and his catching the dreams. I love all of those things. I love all the unusual words, the poetry of Roald Dahl. It is a bit unfortunate, but he was a little bit anti-Semitic. But I'm going to pretend that he wasn't as I read his stories today. No one's perfect.
Can't really remember much, to be honest.
Yeah,
a lot's happened since I was a child. Hard life, had a hard life.
Yeah, it's been difficult, yeah.
So this weekend was the Olympics started.
Oh yeah, have you watched much of it, Steve?
I know in the opening ceremony they used computer game music. That's about as much as I've watched it.
I've heard that lots of people have been really impressed with the skateboarding in particular. I saw that everyone was like, "Wow, this is awesome! This is really rad." So
radical,
man. And if you're a young person, you go to Radlands, whether the old Radlands back in the day or the new Radlands at Beckett's Park, then I think they've really enjoyed watching the skateboarding. I guess that's one of the things I like about the Olympics is they have some unusual sports rather than just the traditional.
Well, they added surfing and skateboarding to appeal to a different crowd, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I think in the future they'll have some kind of computer game segment involved as well.
Fantastic, and that's where your forte will be. You'll be in the Olympics.
But Piers Morgan's come out and said that.
God.
So there was people who came third, and they were celebrating coming third.
Yeah.
And he's come out and said, "Well, you shouldn't celebrate coming third. It's not an achievement." What do you think about that?
I think Piers Morgan just should stop speaking. Do you know what I mean? He's just offensive to everybody, isn't he? What has he actually achieved apart from kind of TV celebrity status, which is actually, you haven't just come third, you come third in the world.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant achievement. Well done.
I think even just getting to the Olympics is an achievement because it's not like you just automatically can go there. You have to go through like a qualifications system. Like, for example, Mo Farah, he didn't qualify for the Olympics.
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
think even just qualifying means you're kind of in the top percentage of your field, isn't it?
If I do any kind of sporting competition and I finish the activity, I celebrate. So I don't know whether you was like this, Steve, at school, but I was always chosen last. When there was rounders, my teacher used to give me a tennis racket to help me hit the ball because
I
I'm
was
that
never in
good
school to be chosen.
So for me, I just think it's a taken part, and I think that as always, rather than concentrate on the positive, Piers Morgan yet again has to concentrate on the negative.
Well, first, second, and third is all medals, aren't they? You get medals for coming first, second, and third.
He's just boring. I'm fed up of listening to news and to Piers Morgan and people like that, and Katie Hopkins and all those kind of people who think that their opinions are valid or more valid than other people's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're so good, Piers, then maybe you should start, I don't know, walking football because you're quite old now, and see how far you get on with that. And I'm probably you ain't getting very far on that team either.
Yeah, he hasn't actually really done anything with his life that you could say, oh, that's an achievement. Working for the Mirror, phone hacking people, being a bit dodgy, and basically just being a pompous, arrogant dude. But really,
yeah, all he does is hate people. I hate Meghan Markle. Good for you. Hate him in your own time. We don't care.
Gary Lineker came out and had attacked him, defending the Olympics.
I tell you what I really like about footballers at the moment. I've never really been a big football fan, is that we seem to have this whole generation of footballers with great morals. How fantastic! Who would have thought that the world is kind of having a moral compass with footballers leading the way? I think it's fantastic. And whilst I think footballers, including Gary Lineker, get paid far too much money, at least they are contributing back to society. What has Piers Morgan done to society apart from hacking dead girls' families' phones and things like that? He's an absolute parasite of a human.
Yeah. So let's forget about Piers Morgan. Did you see the? Did you see?
Well done.
Did you see the videos of London this weekend with the flooding?
Oh my God, I was really, really shocked about that. To be fair, when you think of flooding, you normally think out by the coast, and I always think that normally happens like Christmas time. You always hear of the flooding, and it's really devastating. This was hideous, and what I find more scary about this is I feel for all of the families who are losing their properties or their furniture, their things that can't be replaced, photos and things like that. Because actually, we know that the majority of people don't have house insurance because it's actually really expensive. So that's really difficult. I feel for all the people who had to do all the work clearing up, because it was like the underground and the stations were flooded. People whose cars are broken. There's a lot of extra costs going on there. But what really scares me about it is where we talk about there is a climate emergency and we're going to do something about it in the future. We need to do something about it now. Do you know what I mean? It's happening now. We were speaking about this last week, I know, saying, oh, the weather's really hot.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that hot. Do you mean England isn't a space where it's supposed to be 33 degrees? It's just not.
I think like part of London though is built on like what essentially used to be marshlands.
Okay.
And just building willy-nilly, as it were, without concern of drainage and the runoff, and it's going to create this situation, isn't it? Like,
yeah, absolutely. We see that
the simple solution is just don't build so much and keep having trees, like plant trees to soak up the water.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that in St. James, didn't we, when it was flooded here?
Well, that was because the drains were full of rubbish. The council didn't clear the drains, so
it created was built on a
floodplain.
Floodplain, isn't it? So exactly like what you said. Cause I know that like your family are from Road, and there's developments there, and the water's rising, and it's no surprise that the water's rising when it rains because how many trees were cut down?
Yeah.
I think people forget we need trees. Like when you and I were in Seville, we saw lots of trees, and that's because trees help cool down places. It's not just that they provide great oxygen, it's not just that they help with pollution, it's that actually reduce the rain problems, but they also keep our planet cooler, and that's what we need.
Well, the trees
So,
drink like gallons and gallons of water. So if there is a lot of rain, a lot of it gets. It's not a complete foolproof plan of stopping floods, but the kind of flash flooding you had in London would probably be less severe
yeah,
if there was more
absolutely.
trees there to soak it up. Um, but it's like, will city planning adapt and change so it does create um, a better drainage solution? Because I bet most of the stuff in London, drainage and sewage wise, is probably from Victorian times.
Yeah, absolutely. It just,
So
to
it's
be
like they
fair
don't
though,
actually care if it's flooded. They don't really care because it doesn't really affect them. And if it does, they can just fix it, like pay to get all their stuff back. But like working class people, that's like life destroying in a way, like a flood.
well, I know if our house got flooded, we'd be devastated. Do you mean? And I also feel like my mum and dad have lived in the same house now for 50 years. So if their house got flooded, I don't know whether my mum would actually survive that emotionally because of the trauma of so many things that would get ruined.
Yeah.
Do you mean? I think people just think of houses, but actually, working class people, we don't live in houses, we live in homes. Do you mean? This is part of our kind of culture. We don't need to go out to fancy restaurants all the time. We eat in our houses because they're our homes, and we use our homes in different ways. I think when you've got lots of money, things are very much replaceable, aren't they? We'll just get more, but we value stuff in a different way. So my heart really went out to all of those people who were affected by the floods, but I'm yet to believe that the government is taking this climate crisis seriously, or the infrastructure issues that you were talking about.
Well, it happens every year now, doesn't it? Seems to be happening every year. Look, I remember maybe in the mid to late '90s there was a big flood in Northampton, in Far Cotton, and I got the day off
Yeah,
school. I got the day off school, but that was like a
that's what
huge
you
thing.
remember.
It was yeah, it was like a huge thing. Like, and that only happened once. I only remember that happening once as a child. But now it seems like flooding is becoming um, a
Once it
recurring issue.
once it comes near like October time, I'm always thinking to myself, there's going to be some kind of natural disaster, so to speak, to
And you said
people.
about road that never flooded the whole time I lived there, and then it happened like last year or the year before.
Yeah,
So these extreme climate events are going to be becoming a lot more common and a lot more frequent
yeah,
and severe.
yeah, yeah. It's a real problem, and it makes me really sad, to be honest. What we're doing to the planet at every level, whether that's about the climate kind of natural things that we've done, the infrastructure, the lack of cleaning it up. Do you mean just St James not cleaning? Do you mean that's how incompetent it is here?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but a few years back they did. I think it was like a pollution test or something, and a lot of the areas in Northampton have dangerously high levels of pollutants in the air. So it's like the air's poison
Well,
that we're
well,
breathing in.
where the old where the old bus station is, um, there, and they wanted to put houses on. I don't know whether they still are putting houses on there. But with the level of pollution there was so high that it would be considered dangerous for your health if you were asthmatic. Do you
Well, there
mean
was
so?
in London there was this girl, young girl. I can't remember, maybe
Ah,
like
she died, didn't she?
she died, and the family have actually proven that it's because of the pollution.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was really. I mean, how honourable of her family to fight for her. To mean to get that kind of. I think they wanted to make sure that it was on her death
Yeah,
certificate, wasn't it? They didn't want to say she just died. Um, but I guess again, the councils could be doing something different. So we see in other countries, I don't know, like Mexico, where they've got walls of plants outside the flats.
yeah.
Do you mean so on bridges as you go down the motorways, they've got flowers everywhere. So you can see all of those things that make a difference.
Well,
Just
at
so
the
you
end of
know,
the
I'm
at
just
the
going
end
to
of
say, I'm just saying hello because the lovely Tamsin is just arriving. So it's
at the
fantastic.
at the end of the day, it's the role of companies and the government in order to ensure that that is clean, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And
And it's,
we shouldn't accept it as a norm.
no, we
Like,
should.
but maybe like 50 years ago, where they were actually ignorant of those effects, but now they know, and they know that this is causing death. Who's
Yeah,
responsible for that? Who's responsible for that? Because it's not like I can't choose which air to breathe. It's not like I'm making a choice.
exactly. But I think that it's definitely the government's responsibility and a global responsibility as well. But when we've still got no justice for Grenfell, then the idea that we'll get justice around our air is a long
Yeah,
time away. And that's actually horrific. Do you mean? And I just, as I mentioned, Grenfell, I just want to give a shout out and solidarity to those people who continue to fight endlessly to make sure that there is justice. True, people are
definitely.
still not in their own homes. They're still living in temporary accommodation. They still haven't been given the finance. But more than that, there are still places in the UK have got that cladding on their buildings. Outrageous.
Definitely.
Outrageous.
Finally, there
Yeah.
was bring it back to Northampton.
Go on, bring it
That
local.
there was an event at the weekend with dinosaurs. I don't
Oh,
know.
that was awesome. Big
Uh,
up the bid, Northampton Business and Development Team. Mark, who leads that up. Well done, mate. You've done a
it looked
great
really good.
job.
I'm not sure. I think it's happening again this weekend.
I think it's like a week long thing, so you'll see them about.
Yeah,
At the yard on our afternoon stuff, we're going to be making all things dinosaur related. So we're keeping on the theme, and you'll see some kind of random dinosaurs dangling from different parts of the town centre. So
it
that's
looked
going to
really
be
good. I couldn't make it because I was busy, but from the pictures, it looked really good. If you went,
yeah.
please
What
tell
did
us
you think?
how it was.
Yeah, what did you think?
It looked
We
like a
need.
good day out for the kids,
Well, I
at
just think we
least.
need more things that kind of we can shout about and make us proud. Do you know what I mean? They don't have to. It doesn't have to be huge, does it?
Well, the
Do you know what I mean?
dinosaur thing is a bit random, but I think there's a lot of history in the town that is
Yeah.
ignored. And we did used to have a castle, and I think if we did have that castle still, there would be a lot more heritage focus in the town because it would be a big focal point. It'd be a big avenue of tourism. But a lot of history's happened in Northampton, and Northampton was a very pivotal and
But
important town in the development of England
I
as a
often,
country.
I often think it's really disappointing that we don't do more things like Coventry. So Coventry, who got bombed and lots of their history was destroyed, have still found ways to celebrate it. Do you mean? So I think although the castle is no longer here, we know that from the Friends of Northampton Castle, there's a virtual headset. They do walking talks, but we should be having those people dressed up and. Do you mean as instead of having them all dressed in uniforms, they should be dressed in the old um, outfits. Do you mean to celebrate? I'd more
Definitely.
likely go up to a random person dressed as a knight than I am going to go to a person in a uniform and a walkie-talkie. Do you mean? I think there's other ways that we can kind of connect to people. But I think before we do that, when it feels to me like the town centre at the moment does need a bit of a kind of good scrub. Do you mean? It still has this feeling of kind of a little bit not as awesome as it could be. If it was a school report, it'd probably say satisfactory, but could do better.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe that's something we could all do together. So if you've got any ideas of what community courtyard could do, because we're thinking about things we could do down Gold Street. Maybe next year we might have like a street party, a street picnic. We've applied to the council to see if we can close the road for an afternoon to actually
They'll never close
celebrate.
Gold Street.
You never know. We live in Oak. No, maybe not, but we still applied. It's worth a try. If you don't try, you won't get anywhere, will you?
For the
So,
Queen Jubilee thing, that's probably your best chance, or whatever it is.
yeah, but maybe we need to
It's
just try and do
happening.
more stuff in the town centre where we can do stuff together. So we'll have to have a think about those things. But if you've got any ideas, then although Steve's only on Tea and Toast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Jasmine or myself or Sophia or Luke, one of us is with the kettle on here at Community Courtyard at the Yard, 62 Gold Street, every day of the week. So
You get
if
free
you think to
breakfast
yourself, you know what?
and a free cup of tea.
Yeah, free breakfast. Yeah, absolutely. Tea, coffee, squash, orange juice, whatever you want. And even better, you don't have to make it yourself. Yeah, so if you've come out of the house with the kids and you haven't had time for breakfast, pop on down. If you want to meet your friends, but actually money's a bit tight at the moment, come and have a cup of tea here. We had a really lovely couple the other day, just got off the train and they were pulling their suitcases. They weren't from Northampton. And they knocked and they said, "Oh, I don't suppose you know where to get a cup of tea?" I said, "Yeah, come in here." And they were like, "Wow, this is fantastic." Do you mean? So, and they've told their friends about it. And so we got a couple of really nice voice messages on our answer phone this morning. Do you mean? Just saying, it just made their day. And there was a space where they could actually just grab a drink and sit down. There's not enough free spaces, but we see that in other places in the country where there are places like the Yard. So don't feel shy. The door's open. You don't need a reason to be here. But also, if you do need help, then please give us a shout. If you've got an issue with housing and you need some help, we've got access to housing officers. If mental health is a problem for you or you just need some support, shout us. We've got experienced mental health practitioners here. We've got counsellors here. If you want help with something legal, we will access citizens' advice and we work closely with them. So really, this is a space where you can get some help, but don't feel embarrassed about it because you're here having a cup of tea anyway. So it's going to be another busy week here at the Yard. And actually, the reason I just swapped my position, Steve, is I just wanted to show you. So we've got our swap shop shelves now, and there's stuff on there. So if you're an arty crafter and you want to have some wools and buttons, some ribbons, we've got all of those things. We've got t-shirts that you might need. We've got crafting boxes. We've got trainers. We've got some gardening equipment that we can lend out. And if you've got something that you don't need, yeah, come and drop it off. See what you can swap. Yeah, we're also going to be getting a proper coat rail so we can give out clothes as well. So again, it's
Exciting
another
stuff.
resource.
Exciting
I'm
stuff.
excited about it. It's beginning to get there. Don't forget,
So-
tomorrow night we've got Rewind Unwind. So if you're an organisation that wants to learn a bit more about what Community Courtyard does and what the Yard does, then 6:30, come on down, come and rewind together with the
There you have
team.
it, guys. Get on down to the Yard and see what's what.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jam-packed, full of activities from Monday to Friday. Has a pool table
Yeah,
and an
and
arcade
we've got our
machine as
summer-
well. You can
yeah,
just relax there.
We've got we've got our summer program. So tomorrow is all about ESOL classes. So Tuesday we're teaching ESOL. So if you want to practice your English, you speak it as a second language, maybe you're looking to do your examinations, then come on down. We do free conversation classes, and also our community classes are really reasonably priced. So, and if you haven't got money, we can find a way of teaching you. So don't let money be a barrier to learning English.
So take a breath, Bianca. I think that's a good note to leave it on. So thank you for joining me today.
You're very welcome. Have a good one, Steve, and I'll see you online for your game in a bit.
I'll be gaming in a minute, but thank you for joining us for Tea and Toast. Hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you back on Wednesday for more Tea and Toast. Until then,
alligator.
goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.